Welcome to All Worn Out. I'm your host, Warren Meredith. On the show today, Angelina Hunter of the Angelina Hunter Trio. She plays a mean Stratocaster and has a fantastic blues attitude to match her incredible blues voice. The band received their first Maple Blues Award nomination in 2023, and they've got new singles coming out this month and next. Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Worn Out. It's a podcast about music. It's a podcast about what you're passionate about. And it's a podcast about what our guest is passionate about. I'm so excited, thrilled, lucky. We're blessed. We're energized. But you know, for some reason, I'm feeling a little bit of the blues at the same time. And maybe that's because we've got the most fantastical blues singer here today and Strat player, Angelina Hunter of the Angelina Hunter Trio. How are you, Angelina?
I'm great. Thanks, Warren. That was really nice. Very nice.
Good. Well, I mean, you're very deserving. I like how we've got a couple of redheads on the show tonight.
Yeah, gingers represent.
Heck yes. And yeah, we look good like that. I like it. So starting off, you do play a Stratocaster, don't you?
I sure do.
And it's red too.
Yep. Pretty much everything that I own is red. It's funny, I'm wearing green today. I figured I'd go outside of the box, but yeah.
It's funny because I was going to wear a red shirt with a vest because I was looking through your pictures and I saw all the red and I'm like, sometimes I try and gamble on it, and be like, yeah, I'm going to go for this one, But no, I didn't. And I guess I made the right call. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've had that baby for years. And I've had many other guitars that have had really nice spots in my jam room, but honestly, I just always play my Strat. I love that guitar.
When did you start playing guitar?
When I was 10.
10 years old?
Yeah.
Did you take lessons?
I did. It was super weird, and I don't even remember why, but so I was just a kid, and 10th birthday, my parents asked me, so what do you want for your birthday? Thinking, I'd do the normal, pony, or, some random toy or something. And I said, I want guitar lessons. And they're like, Ange, you've never even seen a guitar in real life before. Like, why do you want guitar? You don't even have a guitar. I'm like, yeah, but I really want to learn how to play. Like, I want lessons. So they borrowed a guitar from one of my dad's buddies, Mitch. And I, just to make sure that they didn't, buy something that I played for 2 seconds and decided I didn't want to do it anymore. I loved it. I was hooked. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 10's a great age to start. There's a few people I've spoken with on here, and that seems to be about the age when they took off. I started more like 13, 14, and I feel like I was a little bit late to the party. And then I didn't really learn it or pick up much about it till I was like 16 or 17 when I got into I can just do like chords and stuff. Like, I've never made it to anywhere near where you're playing, and your playing is so cool. And it brings me vibes of everything I love, which is blues, blues rock, 70s blues rock. All of this stuff that I just adore is, I think, what your band is pretty much all about.
So I love too. That's probably why. We come from the same place, so it's so fun. And
when they describe you, they talk about your big voice, how it's powerful but controlled, and how you can clear it. You're very loud if you want to be, and that's interesting that we're both gingers. And again, this is something people will say about me as well.
Yeah,
they'll say that I'm very
huge voice,
loud as well. So I think maybe that's a ginger thing. You know,
we got to put it to good use. I don't know about you, but everyone always gave me a hard time because I'm so outgoing and loud. And at least if I'm singing, I'm putting it to good use, and no one can really complain about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the rebel in us. That's the pushback coming out of us, being like, no, I won't be bullied anymore. Yeah. Here I come.
You think that's loud? Here, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long has Angelina Hunter Trio been a thing?
We started jamming at the end of 2017-ish. Yeah, and we just did it for fun, right? So we called up Adam and like, hey, what are you doing, bud? He's like, I don't know. He's like, come on over, we'll hang out for a bit and we'll just jam. We hadn't jammed in a while and thought it would just be fun to just play for the sake of playing and just play what we thought sounded and felt good. And it clicked just right away. So, yeah.
Awesome. Were you in a band before called Bluestone?
Yeah, I sure was.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a band with my brother, Ben.
Oh.
So we shared the leads on that one. So we both sang and played guitar. He's a tremendous guitarist too, like super duper awesome. And we traveled all over the country and recorded, I don't know, 6 or 7 albums and a whole bunch of music videos and just played and played and played. And it was super fun.
When that came to an end, were you heartbroken? Were you looking forward to the future? What was your mindset?
It's a loaded question, huh? Yeah. It was very sad for it to come to an end. Because I mean, we did it for a solid 12 years anyways.
Okay.
Right. And but a lot of factors kicked in, and as people get older, I mean, you follow your heart and your dreams, and you play in a band forever. But like you were mentioning earlier, sometimes people kind of want to get like an adult job, and they don't want to, spend hours on end in a van and stay in a stinky hotel room with 4 other guys,
Yeah.
But I mean, my brother moved to New Zealand to study. So he's a teacher now. So he went to teacher's college.
Wow.
So he's like, well, might as well go to New Zealand because it'll be an adventure instead of just, staying here. So we had to do something different because he was, on the other side of the world. So,
okay.
Yeah. So
well, there you go.
Tried this while he was away.
I mean, you talk about like the growing up, getting a grown-up job thing, and it automatically made me think about Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, and no,
Won't grow up.
you're not getting me. I'm rock and roller, and it's kind of for sure.
I
but
mean, forever.
You must be so proud of that, though. 12 years for any band is a fantastic run, and so something to be proud of, regardless. And to do that with your brother, I think, is just. Makes it even cooler. And you must have like cut your teeth, did everything you needed to do to learn to get you to where you are now.
Yeah. And I mean, it was cool doing it with my brother because I mean, you have so many bands that have brothers in them, that the leads are the brothers, right? Like Rival Sons and like they're
endless.
There's just so many. And like we played in bands before Bluestone also when we were like way younger. And,
of course.
Before we were really supposed to be allowed in bars. But I mean, my dad brought us anyways so that we could play. So it was cool.
Awesome.
So we kind of cut our teeth together doing all that stuff and playing music and what have you. I ended up studying music.
Awesome. So what is your first of all, where were you born is my first question.
I was born in Ottawa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is your earliest childhood musical memory? This can be a popular song that never left you. It can be anything. What's your earliest that you can remember, a musical memory that just won't leave you?
Yeah. I guess there's sort of 2 kind of hand in hand, and I guess it goes with both sides. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would always say like, Edge, get off the table. So the coffee table downstairs where the stereo was, I'd crank it and I'd play air guitar and listen to the music super loud. And I remember my favorite was Pink Floyd and the Solo for Money. And I'd sit up there and I'd just sing all the notes. And she'd get off the table. So that is one. And then the other side is I love Disney. I was like, who am I kidding? I still love Disney.
We grew up on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But the Jungle Book. So the woo-be-doo, I want to be like you.
God, yes.
Yeah. So I was about 5 or 6 there too, and I learned all the like scatty-da-da-da, like the scatty part.
Yes.
I just thought that was super fun. So
and Aristocats too, right? There were so many movies from that time period from Disney where it was the same people singing, the same people doing the music. Like it was like 5 or 6 movies, and you can get into it and you can hear the same voice coming back, like the voice from whoever that Shmi is on Peter Pan. He'll come back in other Disney movies, and it's the same people doing the music, and it stuck with me too, like from Aristocats, Abraham DeLacy, Giuseppe Casey, Thomas O'Malley, O'Malley, the alley cat, that's right, and I'm very proud of that, yeah. And like, I know like Disney will go like, copyright infringement, but I don't care. I'm going to sing anyways. And yeah, so I totally get what you're talking about with the Disney just imprinting our memories as children, because some of that music was actually really well done.
Really awesome.
The Jungle Book is a great example too. Like the I Want to Be Like You Ooh Ooh song is super hooky.
Oh, it is big time, and it's fun, and yeah, I love that one.
Okay, and then you said you started guitar at 10, and you kind of took your parents by surprise, but did they like blues music? Did they like rock music? Was there an influence of that coming into you at all?
Yeah, I mean, my dad had wired up every room in the house to have music. So, I mean, you'd go in to the bathroom and flick the lights on and it was hooked up to the radio and it'd be music. And in the kitchen, there was always, so back before you had like the super smart music in the ceilings and stuff, he kind of did that. Yeah. So we always had music going.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Dad brought me to, do you remember the bar Tucson's in the
Oh,
South
of course,
End?
of course.
So that was my home away from home, and I grew up in the South End, so it was right around the corner. And when I was starting at 11, I was really learning, like getting into like a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan and learning some, and I wanted to get better. So I was like, maybe we could watch some of those shows and I could watch their hands. So every Friday night he'd bring me out and we'd watch the first set. Because like after that was past my bedtime, but we'd go and watch the first set of those shows and I just watch their fingers and go home and like try it.
I remember my parents, well, my mom especially, was very frustrated when Tucson's closed, and because it was like one of their favorite places to come into the city to enjoy music, and there wasn't really a replacement or an alternative. I mean, the Rainbow, I guess, is the closest that I can think of. Maybe Irene's, depending on the night, but I mean, still, it's not what Tucson's was like. Blues all the time, I think. Like,
yeah. And the Rainbow used to be too. It used
I
to be
know,
strictly blues
in the
all the
old
time,
days.
and now they bring in all kinds of, which I think is great. I like that it has all kinds of music, and everybody can get their fix.
But I also like the ghosts of the blues artists with the pictures surrounding us and
all over the place,
taunting us.
Yeah,
there's a long way to go. Keep going. Ooh,
this is gonna be you in like 20 years.
That's right.
Keep singing. Yeah,
I always tell Stacy, I'm like, the vibe here is the best. The feng shui, it's the best. I can feel the energy when I'm on that stage.
Sure.
From all the performances. So you did this band with your brother, and then now you've gone into this band, and you guys keep kicking ass because you recently represented Ottawa at the Memphis Blues competition. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the International Blues Challenge. But yeah, we call it the Road to Memphis in Ottawa. That's
okay.
just what the Ottawa Blues Society, they call it the Road to Memphis.
Now, I saw that was it kind of like a battle of the bands?
Yeah. It's totally. So every big city that has a blues society all over the world, they will have their competition in their city. And then they'll send whatever band wins the battle of the bands to Memphis. And then they all play in Memphis. Yeah. So it's a week of, it's like blues heaven, essentially, is what it is. And every single venue on Beale Street just has music going all day, every day, from like noon until close.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Gosh. And so how many bands did you have to like defeat or swat away to like get into this thing?
Oh, geez. I don't remember. I mean, there was a lot of really great bands.
There's a lot of competition.
There was two or three nights in Ottawa.
Mm.
And like semifinals and
yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. We were really a brand new band. So honestly, we didn't have a lot of material yet because we had just started jamming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, you want to try a different song? I'm like, I don't have any more songs, man. So when we went down there, we actually wrote a few songs to be able to have more repertoire. One of them is one that we do all the time. It's kind of our, classic, or the one that everyone always requests. It's the Get an Old Child song.
Okay, yes.
We wrote that to go down to Memphis.
Okay.
But when we were in Memphis, I think there's 6 other bands on your night in your venue.
Okay.
And you play 2 nights in a row. So the first night you play, you get to know everyone. And then the next night, they just switch up all the order, but you play the same guys. So by then, you're kind of buddies and you're hanging out and you've had a chance to, I really liked your tunes for this. And you know what I mean? And so, I mean, at that point, it's still a competition.
Yes.
I mean, someone's going to go on to the semifinals and then to the finals and someone's going to take it. Hirojo won the whole shebingo right before COVID hit. So they won the best blues band in the entire world. So that was super awesome.
Pretty incredible.
But even if you don't win, like, you're still hanging out with all these other guys at the semifinals, and
you're rubbing elbows,
yeah.
You're making friends, you're being a part of the ultimate scene,
yeah.
Where you want to be. And And it's not about winning, and it's about like competition for us. I understand like it happens time and time again. And the only thing I could really think of when you were describing it for me is like I've been to Canadian Music Week, but our sets are only 25 minutes.
Exactly. That too. It's the same.
It's the same. Super short
like, you
set.
barely have a chance to open up and it's done. Yeah.
Okay, so it's similar to Canadian Music Week in that showcase fashion. I'm glad you get the second night out of it, because I felt bad for the band from California. And, who had flown out, and I was like, oh, well, here they go for 25 minutes. And, of course, when I went into the venue, I almost started, not bitching, but almost, because I turned to my bandmates, and I'm like, how did that band get a sound check? There's no sound checks allowed at Canadian Music Week. I don't get a sound check.
The rules,
And I looked at the guys, and I said, I'll bet you they got a manager. And all of a sudden, the manager comes walking right over to me, and she's like, you're right, they do. And I'm like, awesome. I'm like, I told you guys. And she's like, they're from LA. And I'm like, okay, well, then they need a sound check. Like, you've been on a plane and all that. Yeah, you deserve it.
Yeah, for a million years.
And I just like to pretend to be a stickler and an anxiety nut when I'm with the guys, because it's kind of my role with them. It's funny.
Okay.
But I mean, also, I'm like that. I'm a nerd, or a former one. So that just sounds so incredible. So you've been in a band with your brother, but now you're in a band with your husband?
Yeah. So I'm
Sandy.
Married to the drummer. I know they say you're not supposed to date anyone in the band, but hey, he's the best drummer in town. So it was the only way that I could get him to stop playing in 80,000 other bands.
That is the nicest thing you could have said about him as his significant other. The fact that you were just like, no, he's the best drummer in town.
Yeah.
That's just so awesome. I mean, I hope he's happy when he's watching this right now, going like,
yeah.
But the three of you must be incredibly close. And yeah, if you guys tour, if you go somewhere, does Adam get his own room, or does he get to or do you guys do, or does he get to hop in, and
sometimes we'll squeeze in, but he likes to be able to have his own space too. So if we can swing it, we'll let him have his own space. Just 'cause, remember, I told you I'm super loud, so you can only handle so much of me in one chunk. And he's like a saint because he has to put up with me all the time. But he actually played in Bluestone with us right off like the get go, because we met in university, but he wasn't playing bass back then. He was playing the trumpet. He's a killer trumpet player. So yeah, so we've been friends for a very, very long time. So
what university were you guys at?
Ottawa U.
Okay.
Yeah, I studied music at Ottawa U.
That's awesome, because I've had several people on here from the Carleton music program.
Yes.
Several. But you are the first Ottawa U one, so I'm very happy about that. So your experience there was a good one?
Yeah, it was great. But you know what, the reason why it's mostly Carleton people is because this is about, rock and roll music and blues music and popular music. But Ottawa U is classical. So it was all, orchestras, and I studied opera. So I sang a whole bunch of operas and stuff. But it was just, honestly, it was 100% not, I never wanted to be an opera singer. I never fit inside the box, and that was a really restricted box. But what it did teach me is perfect technique, so that I could sing I wanted to be able to go on the road for 3 months, sing every night with maybe 2 nights off, and not kill my voice, right? Because that's what I was struggling with before. Your voice gets tired. What am I supposed to do if I have another show tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day? And it totally worked. I mean, we would tour night after night after night after night, and my voice always held up. So
that's incredible. And do you think it also helps with your voice that you're playing the guitar? Because one of the challenges that I will face, in all honesty, is those damn guitar players. I mean, sometimes they can't stop turning up that knob. They keep cranking it to 11. And I'm going, that's enough. You turn that thing down, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to get the sound man to tell you to turn that thing down.
Tone, man. You need that tone. I hear you, though. But, and you know what the funny thing is? When I'm in the studio, I'll be just singing. You do just the vocals, right? And you're just alone in a sound booth, or just singing with your microphone. And some of the songs, I'm like, I can't get the right feel. It's not feeling right.
Yeah.
And if I put a guitar on, I'm not plugged in, obviously, because I don't want it to bleed.
No.
But sometimes you'll hear little tick, 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 tick from my electric, because digging in, it's attached to my diaphragm. So when I'm digging in and I'm singing, then it sounds right. It's this is what the song is supposed to sound like. Whereas if I'm just standing there, it doesn't have the same oomph to it, So
cool. Yeah, I haven't thought of it that way before. Very cool. And is recording, like, for me, it's kind of like it's the best. It's like that whole experience is, I mean, the whole thing is amazing. The recording, in the writing to recording to releasing to then sharing and you know, but the recording is like such an incubator, and it's like I feel like you escape from the world almost.
I love it. I love being in the studio and like the creative process and how, you know, you're starting off with the one thing and then you're stacking and it's like you're letting the song, it's like you're letting the song be. It's always there, but you're just like letting it come alive, right? But it's like little piece by little piece. And depending on who you're working with your producer, like, oh, I have an idea. Okay, let's try it, right? And that's fun too. It's exciting.
They better be down with it. I mean, producers have to be down with ideas. That's just, come on. That's got to be. Yeah. That's my opinion anyways.
For fun.
So you guys released the album, your second album, sophomore album, September 29th. So like a year ago.
Yeah.
Just about a year ago.
Crazy, yeah.
Let It Slide. You guys are very proud of it, and I hope so anyways. And what I read, like, comment-wise and review-wise, was very loving and, like, very good things. So yeah, that process, how did that go for you guys?
It was really great. We were, you know, it ended up being a really great album. We recorded it with Dean Watson at his Buckingham Palace. It's just, his studio is this humongous, beautiful house, and the whole side of the house is windows overlooking like a dam, an electrical dam. So it's like waterfalls and like, it's just picturesque. It's gorgeous. And we decided that we would just sort of camp out there and do the whole album and just, you know, we did all the beds and then we'd do the layers and it was great. And the album turned out really awesome. And we were super lucky that we were able to have it ready in time to be nominated for the Maple Blues Awards that year. And so we got to go and do that. We got to go do the Blues Summit, which was phenomenal. That's where, you know, you're saying like a competition. It's not a competition. You're working with other musicians, and that's the point, right? And I liked getting to that stage where it's not like, oh, I have to prove that I can play the guitar such and such. Like, dude, no, these are other people I'm going to be playing festivals with and meeting. And it was super fun. And got to perform at the actual Maple Blues Awards. That was super fantastic. And I got to meet Matt Anderson. So like, that was super cool.
Wow.
I actually have the little, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I do. You know the little squares where they open it up and the winner is for Best Male Vocalist of the Year, Matt Anderson. I'm like, I'm going to just hold on to this. Yeah. Yeah. So I still have that one. So it was really great. And it was because, you know, like the album turned out really great and people, you know, very positive feedback. So we feel very, very fortunate that that was the case. And we actually just went back this summer and recorded a couple new singles with Dean. Yeah. So we're releasing the first single next week.
Yeah, I have that. Absolutely. That's so cool. So Dean Watson, what I know about him is like just some of the best or a lot of the best musicians in Ottawa work with Dean. And yeah, I know Nick Miller, a friend of mine, has done some stuff with Dean in the past. And there's a lot of, like I said, some of the best musicians.
You haven't had a chance to meet him yet?
I don't know if I think I might have met Dean years ago.
I'll introduce you. He's awesome.
Yeah, I just know he works with fantastic artists. So that's a real privilege. That's really cool.
And he's so easy to get along with. You know, you said like working with the producer, you want to make sure that like he's all for it. He knows that like I am a real stickler for having it be kind of old school, right? So I don't want it all polished and overproduced and it sounding like you know, I just don't want it to be so polished that there's no way, one, that we could ever reproduce it because we're a trio, let's be honest, right? So there's not like 18 of me. And, you know, if there's harmonies and stuff, I want them to sound like harmonies, man. I don't want it to sound, you know, like a machine keyboard of just like, and that it would never sound like that. It's like, well, you know, Ange, sometimes these notes are a little off. I'm like, they're supposed to be, dude, because it's music, you know, like I don't want it to be super perfect. And he lets us keep the rawness and the real feel of our music. And that's kind of hard in this day and age because everyone really, really wants to polish everything, you know?
Yeah, that speaks to your confidence in your voice and what you're artistically trying to do. I totally get the whole thing with producers being like, please let me melodyne this just a little bit. I just want to just pull this a little bit. And I've allowed it a couple times. Thankfully, it does. Like, again, if you're a vocalist, it shouldn't happen a whole lot. Like, when people are like, what, people do this? It's like, well, everybody goes like this a little time sometimes when they're in the middle of a great take. All of a sudden, you hit one note and it just bounces a little bit. And you're like, God damn it, that ruins the whole thing.
What was I thinking?
You know what I mean? And so I get it. But that's great that you're able to do that. I mean, the only person I've heard about that is like Neil Young. Like, Neil Young will say he leaves it in the mix because they go live off the floor and they just go take after take after take. And if take 49 is the take that they like the most, then they just stop right there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what's wrong with it. That was the take.
You know what's funny? The new single, so we'd practiced it a whole bunch of times, and the other single that we'll be releasing later in the fall, it's really hard to play. Like, it sounds awesome. We're like, dude, we should have maybe written it a little bit easier. But so we did a whole bunch of takes, and we did the bed tracks and, you know, like live off the floor to get that initial feeling. And then we did the new single, and the guys were all, okay, we're going to do our next track. It's awesome. And they nailed it in the first take. And they're like, that was great. That was perfect. But now we have nothing left to do because they got it on one take. But hey.
That's amazing. And when I watched my guys do live off the floor, because I wasn't in the room with them, I was watching from the outside, and they were with a session drummer, which made it even more crazy to me. Because they all just hopped in the room and were just killing the song. And I was like, wow, it's so cool.
Yeah.
But my lyrics weren't quite ready. That's why I wasn't in there. I was still finishing up a couple of things.
Nice.
But, I mean, live off the floor is where it's at. I mean, it's where every band wants to be because it means you're good live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of the point, right?
It's kind of like what we all strive to do and come out doing. Yeah, you talked about the Maple Blues Award nomination, and I read about your performance, and it was like one of the main things about the article was how incredible your performance was and how you were one of the big surprises of the night and you blew people away with your powerhouse vocals. I mean, it made me very proud. That must have made you so happy to read that because sometimes you read reviews and you're like, okay, good. All right, they said everything was fine. They didn't say anything was bad. They said it was okay. But to read it and be like, oh no, like, they made a big deal about me. Like, that must have felt great.
It was crazy. I mean, you couldn't ask for better, right? It was mind blowing. And the thing about that performance too, that was sort of strange was that I wasn't playing with the boys, right? Because they had the killer house band, the Maple Blues guys. And like this handful of musicians were handpicked as the finest in Toronto. You know, they were just unreal. And we did one rehearsal the day before, and I come into the rehearsal space and like, hey, let's give this a whirl. And we played it. And I literally said, okay, so do exactly that tomorrow. Like, but let's do it again because it's fun. I want to play more, you know? But they were so awesome. So, yeah, and it's always different when it's a different band, but it gave they were so good and so solid that I knew that I could just go up there and really just feel and just sing and play and tell my story about the song and not be nervous about it. You know, I was more nervous about doing the actual awards. Like I had to present some awards and I was like, oh man, freaking out. Like, hey, I'm not worried about the performance coming, but worried about doing the awards. Because what if I say the wrong thing or I screw it up and then it's somebody's big moment that Angelina ruined? You know, so I was worried about that.
You want to get people's names right.
Yeah, what if yeah. The teleprompter thing was weird. I'd never actually seen one before. Yeah. But then when I got up and played, I was like, finally, okay, this is what I like doing, so I can relax a little. So
got into your wheelhouse.
The zone,
yeah. And talking about that band, it gets me excited just hearing about it. It reminded me of like when I got to do Blues Fest last year and they said, oh, do you want a horn section? And I asked the guys in the band, I'm like, do you want to add a horn section? And they were like, well, what if they screwed up? What if blah, 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 blah. And then, so we didn't ask for it. And then we showed up and I saw the horn section playing with the band before and after me. Yeah. And they were incredible.
The Texas horns.
They
can play anything.
So good. Yeah. And I was like, damn it, we fucked up. But
next time,
yeah,
those guys.
You know, and also I saw winning an award, I think, was Guy Belanger for Harmonica Player of the Year, and that's he played right after us at Blues Fest.
I gave him that award. His hand. That's why, but I didn't screw it up.
He was crazy.
I don't think I screwed it up.
He had a bandolier. He had like a belt, like bandolier, like a you know, oh yeah, and you're like, oh, what the hell's going on? But it's awesome, right? And it's the blues, and yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, ooh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you got done some wicked shows, and you just celebrated your birthday party. You just turned 29, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a pretty awesome thing down at the Atomic Rooster.
Yeah.
I have roots at the Atomic Rooster. I played there many years ago with the Ginger Fox Band. And the people who helped us in there, I'll forever be grateful for, because it's a great community there. There's a lot of music lovers built into the Atomic Rooster, and they're very welcoming. Like the shows I played there, I really had a great time.
We love it there. And I love it, just like you said, it's a sense of community. You know, you're going to see the familiar faces. The staff there are just phenomenal. The art on the walls, that's one of my favorite things, you know, because it's every month they switch it up. It's local artists. It's so cool. I'm artsy fartsy too. Like, I like to paint. I'm not great, but I like doing it. It's fun. And I go in there and, you know, you're playing, like we play 3-hour sets when we play at the Rooster. So, you know, you're playing, and, you know, sometimes you kind of get, you know, watching what's on the walls and you're like looking around and it's like entertaining for you too. Right? You're like, oh, dude, look at that one. I want that one. Like, it's cool. I love it there.
3-hour sets, that's pretty much like the pros limit. That's like the mark, you know? And are you doing a lot of covers in that?
Not really. We do sprinkle some in when we do, like, so we do like 3 1 hour and then like the breaks in between. So we'll usually put 1 per set or 2. We'll do some medleys. But for the most part, we're doing most of our material because we're always trying to write new stuff and checking out and then pulling out old stuff out of the vault. They're like, dude, we haven't played this song in forever. Let's try that one. Because like I said, it's not a 25-minute set. You get to spread out, right? So you get to like really enjoy and like feel the moments and the ups and downs and the dynamics. And then so like you can really kind of let it go out in left field. That's what we love the most about the Rooster. And like the boys sometimes will totally just go right off in left field. But I know that they're always going to catch me no matter how weird and whatever, that it's always going to come back. Like I trust them completely and vice versa, right? So we get to do that kind of stuff, like a little bit without a net, let's say, you know?
Well, they are a fantastic, like if you believe in your band like that, that's the best net you could ever hope for to catch you if you fall or stumble or just find something really interesting, you know, and you want to see it through. And I know that a lot of people, their opinion is, oh, well, we can't do a blues band. Oh, I love the blues, but we can't do a blues band because what are we going to do? Everything's been done. Has it ever been a thought process for you guys? Obviously not, because you crank out so much music.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, so I remember I was telling you I went every Friday to watch the blues bands. And so I went to all the blues festivals and authentic blues. I mean, there's a huge spot in my heart for the authentic blues. You know what I mean? The 1-4-5s, the classics, the ones that everybody knows and they need to be that way. But I never found that they were the same because every time the solo is different, depending on who's singing. Like I never sang songs that women sung. I would sing the old blues guys, but I'd sing it with my voice, right? So it always changed it for me and it always made it different. But when we're writing, we're not authentic blues per se because we have our own touch on it. So I guess it turns into like contemporary blues. And we have so many different influences too. Like I like the like southern bluesy rock kind of stuff, like the Allman Brothers and that kind of stuff. Like I know you do too.
Yeah, that's what I love. Yeah.
And so, but Adam likes stuff like Opeth and like the more, you know, prog rock kind of stuff and like even more heavier, but he's got synesthesia. So he hears music and sees the textures and everything too. So he has a different appreciation for chord changes and dynamics and whatnot.
Oh, I'm so jealous of you, Adam. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. That's like a superpower.
He paints stuff that he hears too. So he's a painter and he'll like this song is what this painting is. It's super awesome. And he's done all the different notes of the scale of what they would look like and what have you. It's pretty cool. And then Shanny likes the groovy stuff, you know, like I mean, the Medeski, Martin, and Wood, and like, of course, Zeppelin is like, hallelujah. But I mean, just like the kind of funky, groovy, even stuff that's just straight instrumental, he'll listen to that. So we put it all together. So my super love of the blues and then all of these other influences. And we have our own voice. I mean, like I said, you got to be free to move a little bit, right? So that's just what we do. So we're not worried about it being too bluesy or not being bluesy enough, because then you're not writing from here and not feeling. We just do it because it feels good and it sounds right and it feels right inside, not necessarily because it fits in a certain mold, let's say.
Yeah, well, the way you describe it, like if your drummer is like a Bonham fan, and then you've got you, and you're hooked on the blues, and you love presenting, bringing that out, and then your third member just sounds like he's an aficionado, like he's almost a savant.
Yeah.
And like every band should have at least one. I mean, if you have two, they can kind of knock heads against each other, and then it's a little bit bad. But I do recommend finding that one savant who's just kind of like, well, I can play anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. Like I could just play it. And you kind of get that too because you did opera. So when you were singing opera, did you know in your heart of hearts, like, oh, I'm going to be the blues. I'm going to do the blues. Did you know that yet?
Yeah. Because one of our bands that we had in high school, it's called Sacrement Blues.
Nice.
Super fun, like Sacrement Bleu.
Yeah.
I went to French high school, so
love it.
And then we had the horn section and everything in there, and it was like blues covers and like Motown and blues kind of a thing. And then going into university, I was already into that. And like I said, I was big on like the John Scofield and the Medeski, Martin and Wood, and that kind of, listen to the kind of like funky, groovy stuff even back then, right? And I mean, I really enjoyed doing opera. I'm a coloratura soprano. I don't know if you know what that means, but it means like stupid high and like fluttery.
Oh, okay. No, so I don't know all of it. I know that like I have a friend. She's that was my music rival when we were like very young.
Dun dun dun. Okay.
Anyways, she's very awesome, Christy, if you're watching out there. But she's in Germany. She's an opera singer. Like, okay. So she. And she's very high, and I don't know what you call it, some kind of soprano, but it's very high.
So either soprano or the coloratura soprano. And one of my dreams is always to
what it is.
To Germany one day and sing the Queen of the Night role.
Do it. So like, you will.
That one.
And then 2 episodes ago, we had someone on, and she has been a part of 25 operas. And she didn't even sing when she got in. She started behind the scenes, and she ended up learning and coming in. And so
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, and I like that opera is a part of music. And like when I was at Humber, for theater, one of my favorite things to do was just to stumble into the music department there, because there was always just incredible music going on, whether it was violin or opera or whatever, and I just sit down there. Someone would say, "Are you in this class?" No.
Yeah.
I'm just here I just want to enjoy for 15 minutes. Is that cool? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's awesome.
And same thing I tell people, like before I go on stage, like if I'm at the Horseshoe Tavern, for example, like my favorite thing to do before a show is go for a walk and go watch like the buskers. Like, go down the street and, like, 15, 25 minutes before, that's where you'll find me. You won't find me backstage or with people. I like to go by myself and, like, focus my mind.
That's cool.
And if I see...
Check out some good tunes on the street.
It gives me appreciation. I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm not going to have to, like, wait for people to walk by. I'm going to go and I'm going to have a crowd, and that's so cool. So I'm going to give these people my full love and attention right now.
Yeah.
And kind of give that back.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you did the Belleville Blues Fest. How was that?
That was fun. That was actually very different because it was a theater show. So soft cedar, the theater, and we wanted to make it a little bit different because when we were doing other festivals, we go like full tilt, like kind of stuff, right? But this is a theater, and we're thinking we didn't really know what it was going to be like, and you don't want to go right up when there's people literally right there, and they're there to just sit and really take it all in, right? So, okay, let's try something different. So what we did was we had a hat, and the first set, we just put a bunch of songs on paper in the hat, and we brought people from the audience up. Like, hey, come on up here, and ask them, okay, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your favorite band? And they'd pick a song, and then we talk about the song. And then we all had our own little things about, oh, yeah, I remember when we did this. Oh, yeah, cool. So we talked a bit about the song, played the song, and then we'd pick someone else to come do the next one.
Who came up with that idea?
Actually, you know what? I was talking with my brother about it. And Pearl Jam did that for years. And that's why they always have different sets, right? You hear that they never have the same set twice. So like, that's a great idea. So we did that for set number 1. And then set number 2, we started off acoustic. So me and Adam played acoustic and Sandy played the stand-up bass. Yeah. And it was really cool. Really, really, really cool. So we did that. And then we did our new stuff at the end of the set. So by then we were good and warmed up and I was pretty sure I'd remember most of the words. I remembered the words.
You did?
Yeah,
you did?
I did. Yeah.
I get that. I get that fear and that worry. And then you have to like put that away. And then at the end, you're like, God damn it. I hope I did this right. Or I'm going to be so mean to myself for the next month.
Oh, yeah. But back in the like bar band days, you know, and like we used to play like the Heart and Crown and all of this to help fund the band fund so that we could tour, right?
Brilliant.
And so I've learned to master the complete art of the bullshit singing where you can't remember the first verse and you're like, oh man, so you just go, now. And then by then you're like, oh yeah, the next line is this, but it's just pure nonsense.
That was fantastic.
Like it's actual words, but it's not. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple of times myself.
A couple of thousand. Like,
yeah. I definitely get it. But I mean, what you're just saying is great. I mean, this is the thing. If you sing good notes and you sing in tune,
confidence. If you have confidence,
oh yeah,
no one knows you're just like drowning.
And then hopefully it all comes back. Like like I tell people, my bass player never forgets the words. So if I forget like a line, like I just look over at him and I'll be like, singing right at me, and I'll be like, but he's also mocking me because he knows that I'll have that blip in my head every now and then, and. Oh, it happens, but it's a loss of focus. It's what it is. It's a momentary blip of focus that happens to me. And so I have to be very sharp and make sure I don't keep eye connection with anyone too long in the crowd. It's just a little
creepy stare.
Right? And because when I did Blues Fest, right, there was like 80 people I wanted to like make eye contact and be like, I love you. Yeah. But at the same time, you can't.
Up my game, man.
Right? You got to keep your focus and keep your A game going. But that's part of being a pro and like learning that everybody makes mistakes and your brain will do things whether you want it to or not. Sometimes it just blanks. Sometimes your brain just has issues. And being a pro and learning to be a pro is exactly what you just said. You learn how to keep the show going. The show must go on.
Absolutely.
And exactly. Yeah. People got to be entertained. And if they are, like that's our primary function when we're out doing these things. How was the Orangeville Blues and Jazz Festival?
So fun. So fun. So it's the first weekend of June. So it's the way we kicked off our summer, which was wonderful. And we'd played the Orangeville Blues Fest back in 2018. So we'd already been there and sort of got the lay of the land and got to go back. And Larry Kurtz runs the festival and it's so great. So we played on the Saturday evening, but we showed up on the Friday. So we enjoyed just the other shows and took it all in. And they got a great sort of backstage area. And the night that we were playing, Ghost Town Blues Band was playing after us. Have you heard of them yet?
No.
So they're from Memphis and they are like a party in a band. Like
wow.
It's so much fun. There's no way you could watch this band and not be happy and just like, this is great. Okay. Cause it's awesome. And they have, the trombone player, his name's Suave, and he flips his trombone and is always doing this stuff. And they have like great charisma, all of them, and they're playing and it's super fun. And that's kind of like the feel of this festival, right? It's just a lot of fun. Everybody's there to have a good time. The musicians were phenomenal. And it was just so fun to be part of that festival.
Made me think of when we were talking about the party and the band, made me think about when I opened for White Cowboy, Oklahoma, and they brought out these things that were like exploding confetti. Yeah. And they had girls come out with metal bras on and they were grinding. They were doing grinders on it and sparks were flying everywhere into the crowd.
Oh my God.
And then they were bombarding the crowd with toilet paper, like rolls and rolls of it. And all kinds of crazy shit was going on throughout the night. And I was just like, I think it was their 25th anniversary. Like it was one of their last goodbye shows. But I mean, it was pretty fantastic to see. And so I get that. The party in the band it inspires us too, right? Because then you go like, well, I need to also be the party on the stage, like when I play shows with a band called Revive the Rose, Andy is one of these guys who just, he's so electric. And you come off and you go, damn it, I hope I'm as good a front man. I hope I've got that, and I think we do because we care so much, and like that doubt and that anxiety, it's just what keeps us sharp.
Well, and seeing shows like this that you really enjoy, you kind of absorb some of it by osmosis anyways. And if you really like it, it's going to come out some way as part of what you do, because everything is an influence, right? So make sure that you're surrounded by good influences, and then it'll, be positive on your show. That's what I figure.
Yes. I was watching a video where you were singing, I believe it was the Getting Old.
Yeah, Getting Old Child.
Getting Old Child. And that one you were doing, you were talking and you did an introduction and you talked about Charlie.
So Charlie Ward, from the Bull City Bluestone band, was who we played with when we were in Memphis. So remember I said you play with the same bands twice?
Yeah.
So the first night I walk in and Charlie is like this handsome older fella in a gold jacket. And of course I'm like, dude, this guy's got to be awesome. Like hanging out with him, and they were great. The band was phenomenal. And he gave me a hard time about singing about being old because he was in his 70s and he was like, Angelina, you can't sing that stuff if you're not old enough. And I'm like, but I really like the song, Charlie. Like, I really have to play this song, And he's like, I understand. But anyways, we ended up being really good buddies, and he won our group of musicians for that night. So went on to the semifinals, and I got to be his guitar tech, which was awesome. So I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy. I'll bring your guitars in. And the place was just packed. Like, you couldn't move because all of these bands are now watching the next round. So it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. So I'm walking through this crowd with this like 6'5" gentleman in front of me, and I have his guitars, and I'm like, oh my God, do not hurt these guitars. But it was awesome. So that's I usually dedicate it to him because that's the first time we had ever played it. And I remember him, giving me a hard time. He's like, if you're going to sing it with your whole heart. I'm like, okay, promise.
Yeah, he's giving you love. Yeah. It's like, it's a hard time, but it's like, that's how he's showing you love. He's showing you respect. Yeah. And when I watched you tell the story, I was like, oh, that's so awesome, because it's a goal of every musician to get on stage at a festival and have a break in your set and tell a great story. At least one. Yeah. Because if you go see any great band, it happens. The front women always have fantastic breaks, and they plan them. Like, if you watch the planning that the Rolling Stones do, it's amazing when they go, like the planning they're doing for like, okay, Mick, you're going to have a 3-minute break here. You're going to tell this joke. So you're going to start by, you're going to pretend to talk in Spanish, but they're not going to like it, Mick. Yeah. And so,
I tried to joke once, man. It went so terribly. Like, oh my God. The boys are like, okay, I don't care what you say, Ange. Don't overplan it because it'll sound fake. But make sure that you know what you're going to talk about. But they said, whatever you do, please promise us you're not going to tell any more jokes. Just think, I'm like, okay, so I'm not a comedian. That's all right. I'll take that one.
I like to know vaguely topics, what I'm going to talk about, and then I'll try and maybe run through a few times through jam what I might say about. But I don't want it too locked down because I'm so worried about the lyrics that I'm already locked in with. And also, I like the free flow. I like there being a little bit of give and take. And once you get a band that, like, man, the thing that I was proudest about of my band at Blues Fest was all the work they did for in-between, transitions, endings, intros. And I'm just a vocalist. So I'm like watching them going, this is phenomenal. Like, they rewrote the intro to our best song and made it better. And they, did things where I was just like, I love you guys. Like, when you can...
And that's what you're saying. It makes it live, right? Your live version, and people remember that because it's special, because you're playing the big festival and you want it to be special.
Yeah, and you can take a break as a vocalist or whatever. Like, you trust so much that, like, oh, they're still playing. Like, the song ended, but my bass player is not done. He's still playing, and he never stopped from the beginning of the show to the very end. Yeah. And I was just like, I was exhausted because singing in the humidity was something I wasn't 100% prepared for, to be honest with you. I got through it.
Something else.
Right? After a couple of songs, I was fine. But the first couple songs, I was like, whoa, Jesus. Oxygen levels non-existent here. So
we played the Kitchener Blues Fest a couple years back, and it was 45 degrees, pure sun. And this is in the town square, so it's all the buildings are all around, which is super cool. But these guys are all on pavement, and it was a frying pan. It was unreal. And we were in the afternoon, so the sun was still facing the stage. And when I started the set, my pedals and everything were in the shady part, but as the sun came, I was just full sun, and it was a 90-minute set too. So it was like by the end, just so hot, pure red, and they actually stuck me in the freezer in like the cooler that they had for all their ice packs and stuff. They're like, get in, and just like I had to sit in there because I had full on heat stroke, but I didn't realize until I stopped that like, oh, I don't feel so good.
Guess what? We're gingers, and the sun, it hates us. It really despises us. It's trying to kill us all the time. And absolutely, I get that. I understand what you're saying. And it brings me back to a memory of Planet Smashers in Mavericks, and it was so hot, like dead of summer hot, and that club was just smoking. And the bass player with the keyboard player, he was a tall, big guy. And all of a sudden, mid-set,
down he went.
Down like a tree. And the set was over and that was it. And it was like, no, but it happens, right? I mean, he was exhausted. They go hard. Bands go hard. Well, musicians give it their all. So,
have you ever heard of the band 5 Alarm Funk?
I think so.
You have to check it out if you haven't. They're so awesome. Again, super party. They're way over the top and like they put on a show, but everything is cranked up to like 150. You know what I mean? Just like high energy the whole time. They have 2 drummers and like percussion, and like they're jumping around all over the place. They have one dude just changes costumes the whole time while he's playing. It's like insane. And they were going like full tilt their whole set, and it was the same day. It was 45 degrees, and I was thinking like, I was pretty much just standing there and I almost died. Like, how are you guys doing this? But yeah, I guess you just get better at it. I don't know.
I don't know. You see, that's the thing. There's some situations where I just think bodies give out, right? That's the thing. Sometimes everyone else in the band the night that I watched, they were fine. They were going to make it through the set. But that one guy, there was no way.
No, you're done.
He did everything he could. So you've done so many cool festivals, blues festivals, Kempville, Ottawa Blues Fest. You've been to Memphis. You've released this album. So Saturday, November 9th, you're Sutton on Blues. Yeah. You're going to be in Quebec. Tell us about that event.
So this one, we actually met the gentleman who runs this show. It's like a show series that they have at the Sutton on Blues. We met him at the Blues Summit. And we were fortunate enough to be invited to be part of this. And friends of ours that have already played said it's awesome. That it's a really great spot to play. It's a great venue, and they house you, and it's like hospitable. And he said like you're just gonna love it. But I honestly have no idea what to expect because I haven't been yet. So I kind of like that too, when you don't really know and like, okay, what's this one gonna be like? And it's like a new adventure every time. So, but that one I've been told by a number of people, it's super, super fun.
And then what does 2025 look to have in store for the Angelina Hunter Trio?
Okay, well, like I said, next week on September 20th, we're releasing our new single, Sunday Morning. And it's a cool kind of a ballad. It's got the like gospel-y kind of chain gain with the chains at the beginning off the get-go. Like it's heavy and kind of, so it's a really cool song. So I'm excited about releasing that one.
Was there any special inspiration for it?
No, you know what? That one kind of, it just, when
was it the gospel lyrics that kind of triggered things?
Actually, the gospel song was another song that I had been working on, and I just had sat down one night at the piano and was just playing, and it came out. And then I kind of stole that idea and put it on the Sunday Morning idea, which was actually a little bit more kind of upbeat and bouncy off the get-go. But then when I brought it to the band with the boys, it just turned into this like right away. You know when a song is just a little piece of an idea and then it just writes itself? That's what this song did. So
that's like, okay, always the best.
I guess that's what this song is. Like, that's what it was meant to be. Yeah.
When things like go like a puzzle and then just goes like click, 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 click. And you're like, okay, that can't be that easy. Like, but the best songs often are like that. It's just like the parts were always meant to be. It was always supposed to be that way. It feels
and
like.
You're compelled to like, should we tweak this? Should we change something? No, this is the way the song is supposed to be. And that's what it's going to be. So so we're releasing that one next week. And then at the end of October, we are going to be releasing our second single, which is called 12 Feet Tall.
Cool.
And that one is the one I was saying. It's really tricky and it's a really cool song. And it's a really interesting idea of a song about like, being like super tall and larger than life. But no matter how like larger than life you feel, and if everything is just going super awesome, like there's always someone taller than somebody else, you know, there's always someone that's taller, right? So it's a cool, and we got to film a music video with our director, Nadav Santo, that we did all of our Bluestone videos with.
Cool.
And he's from Vancouver, and he works on Supernatural. He does all the special effects, and he's been just directed his first full-length feature out there, and he just happens to be home because his family's here for a little while, and we're like, dude, Nadav's here? Let's do this. Let's film a video. And it's going to be crazy. It's really cool. He's got some really, really interesting ideas. And when he was telling me about them, I'm like, I don't know how you're going to pull this off, but let's do it. And I saw the first rough cut already, and it's pretty wild. So we're going to release both at the same time, the video and the single.
That's so exciting. Yesterday, Christina Martin was on, and she was we were talking about her music video, and it's like got special effects in it where she was wearing a motion capture suit, and she too had a friend like you do, where it's just like they're so good at this stuff, and the friend was like, yo, like I've got some ideas. I'm gonna put you in a motion capture suit, and then we're like gonna put you in space. Are you cool with that? And she was like, please, please. And, you know, she had some Factor support as well. And it turned out great. So, like, gosh.
There's one scene where it's going to be kind of like space, or like I kind of like grow and break through the ceiling and then fly into the air. And then it's like you're falling, but in outer space, like I'm sort of flying, and you can see like the world getting smaller. And so, like, he's going to do some cool stuff like that.
Oh, that's trippy.
It'll be fun.
Oh, this is the fun part about releasing, is then there's like this whole other part to it, like the video and the artwork, and you know, how do you rally and hype the song to get that song its ears and its people that will get it heard, you know, hopefully for a long time. So it's a really fun process.
Big time.
And so then that will be 2 singles in 2023 and 2024 following the new album in 2023.
Yeah. And we're hoping that this will, you know, kind of put our new sound and our next tracks, and are working towards putting it into a full album that we want to be able to finish, but to be able to apply for the festivals for the 2025 festival season, right? And line up a bunch of those. We were shooting around the idea of doing a live album too, which would be really, really fun and really great. And I'm thinking, if we have so much new material that we've been fiddling around with, that it would be really cool to be able to just do it live and get like a really good recording of it. We would need a really great band to play with. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But so that's sort of in the game plans too, and in the works of trying to get everything all organized. So
man, that's awesome. If you're going to do a live album, that's just like, that's like the dream again. It's like live off the floor. It's just the dream. It's where you want to be as a musician, as a professional. And prove to yourself that you've taken it as seriously as you wanted to, and done all these things.
And sometimes you catch things live that you wouldn't take that chance in the studio necessarily. Like, it's more organized and planned, like this is this part, and you know, you can fine tune things, and I'll take that solo again because it wasn't exactly. But when it's live, man. But you have the audience, and you're feeding off that energy, that raw energy that, like, if you could bottle that, man, we'd be rich.
It's true. Right? It's true. The lightning in a bottle is so good. And you are trying to get that in the studio. That same thing that you're pulling out live, you know, it's just a little bit different. And, but still, lightning in a bottle is what it's all about.
I like that. Lightning in a bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what we're trying to do. Just get it. Just that little bit. And that's all we need, man. And so the next album will probably be with Dean Watson again.
Yeah, for sure.
And the third one, do you think you'll do it in 2025?
Yeah. So that's the game plan. So we're going to release these 2 singles. We've done some grant applications, so we're hoping to get more funding, and then that way we could go more quickly and do more recordings.
Yep.
That, or if I just win the lottery. You got to play the lottery to win the lottery, though.
Yeah. Well, we kind of are. We're musicians, so we're kind of playing it. You know, I think at least if you're good enough, you are.
Yeah.
And I think you are. So, well, I know you are. Gosh, thank you so much. I mean, gosh. It's been a lot of fun learning about the Angelina Hunter Trio. And what are some of your other passions? What's maybe something you're passionate about people don't know that you don't mind sharing?
Sure. I mean, like I was mentioning before, I like to paint. So I do like weird, kind of abstract-y art things. Yeah. And I love kickboxing.
Ooh.
Yeah. So fun. So fun. Yeah. That's what kind of got me through the pandemic, was being able to, still do the kickboxing and I don't know. Everyone says, it's so violent, and I'm like so not a violent person. I'm like, it's not to actually do, but it's just so much fun in the coordinating. You know what? Maybe it is sort of because music is coordinating and putting it all together, and it kind of has the same wheelhouse, I guess. But
I did it in grade 7 and 8, and it was a lot of fun, like exhausting. It's just so exhausting.
Yeah.
And I remember like when Kiyoshi would kick the bag, like if you were holding that bag, you would fly back like 6 feet.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that was kind of the fun of it. You'd be like, oh, you can get that strong. You can like get that good at kicking. It's like, ooh, nice.
We trained, me and my buddy Daryl trained with the Champ. So he was the Champ 26 years in a row or something.
Yep.
Anyways. And
was he the Iceman?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then, so my buddy Daryl's a very chirpy kind of guy, right? And I'm like, oh, Daryl, if you keep chirping at him, he's going to get you. I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well. And sure enough, he's like, I need a volunteer, Daryl. And he just did like one roundhouse kick. And I swear to God, he flew like 10 feet, hit the wall, boink. And then Chem just sort of like looked at him like,
yeah,
awesome.
it's like
awesome.
don't talk shit to martial artists, especially the ones who are reputedly good.
Don't
it's like, gosh,
like a half kick that still threw you across the room.
We had someone on here, and he did some sessions with Jean-Charles Skarbowski, the guy who he does Muay Thai, and he was on Tough years ago with George St. Pierre, and he was drunk. Well, people said he was, but he was beating the crap out of everyone who was coming at him. And it's because of the fighting style in Thailand, the way you train and the way you drink rice wine all the time. It's a weird world that is different than ours. Yeah. And this guy from France went over there and became like a master in it. Cool. So, yeah, you should check it out. I think you get a kick out of him, Jean-Charles Skarbowski. Anyways, so yeah, that's cool. Kickboxing and painting and music. And yeah, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much to Angelina Hunter and for coming in, talking with us, sharing with us. I hope you'll come back again in the near future.
And thank you so much for having me on your awesome podcast. And I look forward to hearing your other guests as they come up and everything too. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's going to keep being awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. And thank you out there for watching. And we'll see you all next time on All Worn Out. Bye-bye, everybody.